to join us today. Thank you for coming to find out a little bit more about form and pacing. My name is Kailey Vanderbaan and I am the Team World Vision Los Angeles area director. And I'm excited to dig into a little bit of information about form and pacing with you today. Form and pacing, some of you might be thinking like, well, wait a second. I thought it was just put one foot in front of the other until I crossed the finish line. And to that I say absolutely, okay? We don't need to be too technical, but there are some things that are helpful and I think will really enhance your running experience. So we can kind of dig into those things about form and pacing today. And we're gonna start with form. Form really does two things for us. The first thing that form does is it helps us prevent an injury. It helps make sure that our body is landing in the right places, in the right directions, so that we can avoid injury if possible. The second thing that form does for us is form helps us to maximize our energy and our momentum. We don't want to expend extra energy on things that could be impacted by the way that we move our body. We want to move our body in a way that maximizes our momentum so that we have to do less work. You want to practice this a few times to get a feel for what it's like. You want to stand, and then you want to just stand up straight and just kind of lean forward until you naturally fall and your feet catch you. Okay, practice this a few times. Stand up straight, lean forward until your body naturally catches you. That movement of leaning forward is what it should feel like while you're running. We want gravity to move us forward, because if gravity does it, then we have to do less work, okay? Gravity should be what's pulling your momentum forward, okay? While that's happening, you want to make sure that your elbows are bent at 90 degrees, okay? Now, this is something tricky about when your elbows are at 90 degrees. You probably saw my fist even do it because I wasn't consciously thinking about it. Elbows at 90 degrees, what happens a lot of times is people pull their shoulders back and they clench their fist. We don't want that, okay? Elbows at 90 degrees, but we want nice, relaxed fist. Like you're carrying something, maybe like a kitchen spoon or something. Nice, relaxed fist. Don't want to tighten up. When you tighten up, that's going to cause all kinds of issues in your shoulders, and I have definitely been there, and we do not want that. Nice, loose fist as you're moving. Okay, you also want to pretend like you're on cross-country skis. Like your feet are in skis and like your arms have ski poles. You want to be moving front to back only, your feet also, no side to side, no pumping like side to side like this. All front to back, no side to side. The other thing about form is where your feet land, okay? So when you're picking up your feet and when they're landing. So you want to think about it like this. Think about where your shoulders are, and it's not going to be perfectly below your shoulders, but that's kind of your reference point. It can be a little bit in front, but you want your feet to land as close to below your shoulders as you can. It's probably going to be a little bit in front, but you don't want it to be a lot in front or a lot behind. A lot in front, that could be called overstriding. Okay, stride is the length of your step, and it seems like, oh, if my stride is longer, I'll go farther. We actually want shorter steps. It's actually the most efficient way to run. So you want your feet to land as close to below your shoulders as you can. The other thing you're going to hear about is people talking about where your foot strikes. Okay, you can think about your foot as like there's the midfoot, the middle of the foot, there's the heel, and then there's your toes. Okay, so people will talk about foot strike, so they'll say midfoot strike or heel strike. And typically people will advise you to be midfoot strikers. So you want your feet to land in the middle of your feet, not on your heel or too close to your toes. But some people are heel strikers, and as long as you're not overstriding, then it's okay. Your heels can take the impact as long as you're landing close to below your shoulders. Now we're going to kind of transition into pacing. Now they're not unrelated at all. Your form can affect your pace. But before we dig too deep into pacing, I want to just say forward is a pace. We don't need to be too obsessed with the time. Some of us like that, and that's great too. But we don't need to be too like, oh, I really want to get this time. We want to focus on crossing the finish line. So first of all, you need to know pace per mile. All that means is you'll hear people say, oh, I run 12 minutes a mile. That just means that that person takes about 12 minutes to run a mile. Or they might say, I averaged 15 minutes per mile on my 10-mile run. That means that their average pace over the course of 10 miles was 15 minutes per mile. So you'll hear that phrase, pace per mile, as you kind of get into group runs and get to try it out and see what it's like. Now, the thing about pacing is it really depends on what kind of run you're going out for the day. On your training plan, you'll see 3 different kinds of runs. You'll see an easy run, you'll see a hard run, and you'll see a long run, okay? And those kind of give you the guidance of what your pacing should be like during your training. For easy runs, the runs should be easy. Now, I have to say there is going to be a period of time at the beginning of training where maybe the runs don't feel as easy because your body's adjusting to running and to the movements and to the motions. And so during that learning curve, you might find that the runs don't feel easy no matter what pace, and that's okay. Your body will adjust, your body will train, that's what training is for. But once you're kind of a little bit more trained and kind of have a rhythm, those easy runs should feel conversational pace. They should feel easy. When you finish that run, you should ask yourself, could I have gone further or could I have gone faster? And the answer to that question should be yes. You don't want to use up all your energy on the easy runs. Long runs should also be easy. Long runs, the purpose of the long run is to get the mileage covered, okay? Not to do it at a certain pace, but you really want to think about long runs should be about 30 to 90 seconds per mile slower than you want your marathon goal pace to be. And you may not have a specific marathon goal pace, and that's okay. So then you just want to go based off of effort. It should be a little bit slower, you should be working a little bit less hard than you want to be on actual race day. Hard runs, that's where you can experiment a little, but still recommend that you have a warm-up mile because you don't want to go from cold muscles to a full sprint or something like that. A warm-up mile, and then you can push the pace a little bit. You don't want to injure yourself because you went too hard. Still within reason, okay? You don't want to run the pace of a 100-yard dash for 5 miles. That's not going to work. So for hard runs, you can experiment, you can do intervals, you can pick up the pace, you can push the pace, but you still need that warm-up mile. Should have a cool down mile of an easier pace, and then in the middle you can experiment. Get your speed work, you're pushing the pace, you're experimenting done on your hard days. So easy days easy, hard days hard, long days long. It's about the mileage. You are going to get much more out of consistently doing those things than you are out of overdoing it on a certain day and then not being able to get up and run the next day. When we're talking about pacing for run walking or for walking, run walking, similar, but you want to be careful that when you're doing a run walking interval, like maybe you'll run for 5 minutes and then walk for 1. You want to be careful that you don't come out of the walk and just start sprinting. You want to just ease back into a nice steady jog. You will use up way too much energy way too early on if you try to like make up for the walking time while you're running. Okay, just be consistent, steady, make it your plan. For our walkers, just come up with a rhythm that works for you. The training plan naturally leads you through some different types of intervals. 3 minutes brisk walking, 1 minute relaxed walking, 5 minutes brisk walking, 1 minute relaxed walking. See what works for you. And if you feel more comfortable with the 3 minute brisk, 1 minute relaxed, that's great, okay? Just find the space where you feel good about the pace and the motions that you're doing, and just be willing to try some things out and then figure out where you land as you work through the pacing. Again, I just want to emphasize that it is not about our finish times or what we or that, you know, the clock and what the clock says. It is all about getting to the finish line and getting those kids clean water, and that it's not the finish line for the kids, it's their starting line, right? When they have access to clean water and education and nutrition and healthcare. Relentless forward motion is what matters, not the speed at which we're going. So thank you guys so much for saying yes to this, and we cannot wait to cheer you on as you cross those finish lines across the country.